Hi everyone. I just saw the most beautiful ghost story I've ever seen. The ghost is inside us, it's our soul, and it moves in the course of the story from a human being to an animal to a plant and then into the mineral or rock world, and the camera follows it. The story is called Le Quattro Volte, the four turns or changes. And that term is borrowed from Pythagoras, who thought that the soul had these four different forms: animal, vegetable, mineral, and human. And that we were just one chapter in its transmigration. The story begins with a farmer or farmhand, a goat herd, who is old and ill. He keeps coughing. And then we watch him decline and die. And then suddenly the story is of a goat. And the goat leaves its flock and ends up alone and lost underneath a tree. And then you realize the goat is doomed. The goat is not going to last in this isolated space. And then suddenly the goat's gone, presumably died, and we're with the tree that's being cut down and taken into the village square as part of a kind of fertility ritual. And then, of course, once the tree is felled, at the end of the ritual, it's let go, so it's just lying on the floor. We see it turned into charcoal and then distributed around the town. In the final moments of the film, we see it turning into dust, and that dust settling around the church. At the beginning of the film, the goat herd was sprinkling that dust to consume it because it was felt to bring healing properties. So ashes to ashes, dust to dust, and yet not, because actually everything revives, only to die again. The four turns are also the four seasons. The film is incredibly unified in its vision. It's sublimely beautiful at every point. And it is filled with a feeling of change. That's to say, changing how we think about ourselves. Because regardless of your religious affiliation, there are very few Pythagoreans left in the world. There are elements of Pythagoras' thought in all major religions. But there's something unique and massively pre-monotheistic, deeply pagan in the broad sense of the word, about the feeling that this has nothing to do with the individual. The individual is a vessel, but that what we are looking at is the soul. And the soul might take form, but it's not the individual's soul in quite the sense of the Christian soul, for example. There's a pageant of Christ's sacrifice at one point in the course of the story. We're in Calabria, and we're clearly in a deeply Christian society, but one that knows and feels its deeper ancient pagan roots as well. And that means that this film creates a drama out of slow cinema. It is definitely an example of slow cinema, that sort of 20th century avant-garde movement that said, we are going to take images and concentrate on them. It is in that genre, if you like, but it has an unusual tension, because I felt I was watching a character, a protagonist. I just wasn't watching a protagonist like any other I had seen, because it was everywhere in these images. It was embodying itself over and over again. And at certain points I almost felt its presence, as though the film were asking me to feel differently about what I was. What is it that was looking at the film? Was it me, or was I part of the film? I'm surrounded by wood, and I've got porcelain, I've had fire on my stove. I mean, not lit, controlled. I've had wine from grapes. In other words, what am I? I'm a membrane across which all of these elements pass. And I'm totally perishable. At some point, these edges are just going to vanish, ruining my hair in the process. And that's going to be really sad, or is it? I don't know what emotion the film was trying to prompt, because instead of prompting an emotion, it prompted a sensation, like a deep sensation of physical and spiritual opening. To misquote Cher, do you believe in life after death? If you do believe in life after death, then you should see this film just to get a sense of how it might feel to die. This film was suggested to me by a viewer, Evie. I'm very grateful to her for the suggestion. It was a strange and beautiful experience. And if you have any suggestions for me, whoever you are who is watching this, in this unfolding cyclical thing that is the internet, then tell me, because I will watch it. If there's one thing I like to do when I'm not doing my normal work, it's watch films, in case you hadn't noticed. So just let me know. Thank you so much, and have a lovely evening, or morning, or afternoon, or night. Le Quattro Volte.